Hey Parham, how are you?
What's up, Dr. B? How are you, my friend? I'm good. I'm good. Really good.
Good. Hey everybody out there. Hey guys for coming on. Uh, so we got kind of an interesting thing going on today, and it's kind of sad news with the passing of DMX. I'm not really too much into popular culture. Oftentimes, I don't know what's going on. And I was telling you right before this, the last time I was sort of touched, not that the other people aren't important, just things I follow, was the passing of Anthony Bourdain. But DMX really touched me because this is a guy that I thought a lot about, and I'm going to kind of let you get started. And I think it's a great topic because this hits so many areas, not just substance abuse and celebrity use, but also celebrity abuse and overdoses. But it also hits on marginalized communities issues. The issue that is near and dear to my heart, which is childhood development and how it lends itself to future substance abuse and other mental health issues, and all of the issues surrounding around rap music, which is really, in some senses, really initially started as a vehicle of expression for one particular marginalized community's voice. That's what it really started out as before some of the garbage nowadays. And one other thing I just want to say, I have quite a bit to say, is that over the years, I really, really liked this guy because I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was authentic, but something I never saw pop up in the media was the courage that he had. Think about it. He's a male African American hardcore rap artist, and he kept yelling and screaming about very, very deep, sensitive issues that went back to his childhood. And he was relatively open about it. And I always thought he was so deeply ashamed of the substance abuse as well. He never really got into so much of it. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let you go off on this. I know you have a lot of good stuff to say about this, so I'm going to let you kind of take the chair.
Thank you, Doc. I actually didn't know that you had such a history in kind of knowing DMX, I guess, his development. Because for me, I'll tell you this, and I know we're using an unfortunate event that happened in the local media in terms of bringing about awareness of substance abuse. I know that's what's happening right now. But in the same week, I know, by the way, just of two human beings, two souls that lost their life that aren't famous. So this isn't something that's just happening to celebrities and we're pointing out to it. This is something that's happening, but this time it happened to someone that has a little bit more public light. Therefore, we're able to use that platform to provide education. So for me, whenever I hear of a tragic ending like that, first of all, my heart goes out to the family and whoever knew that person on an individual level. But for me, with this individual, I'll tell you this, man, I came here when I was 16 years old from Iran. So I'm an Iranian immigrant with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. I engaged myself in high school basketball, so I became a part of the basketball culture. And in that culture, in 1999, DMX was the top of that pinnacle, if you will. And we had teammates on my team. There was a few of us, so we were like a brotherhood of guys. And we would sit down and listen to his music and, bumping it with subwoofers in the car and just before and after practice. So my early development, adolescence, I identified with a lot of the sadness. I identified with a lot of the anger. I identified with a lot of the pain, the sense of comfort that he would find with associates in the streets, because there was a lot of trauma in this man's life. And I want people, I've heard some comments this week, man, from human beings that don't have any compassion, human beings that say, oh, it's just another rapper, another person that just wasted his potential, could have done all these different things. And all you have to do is look, and anytime you want to make sense of an ending, you got to look at the beginning. You have to look at the beginning. So, you know what? I looked in the beginning because my early adolescence and my young adulthood, I don't listen to the same music I did back then, to be honest with you, but that was a part of my life back then. So I looked at the beginning, and this man, he was born, his name is Earl Simmons, by the way, so let's give him a name. And he was born in 1970 in Baltimore. And Baltimore, as you know, to this day, hasn't had any improvement. So he's born in the communities that you're talking about, the poverty. And he was born to a mom and dad that were 18 and 19 years old, so they were children. You know, they were children raising a child. And he had a sister that was 2 years older than the mom gave birth when she was 16, right? And he had another sister later and a couple stillborn childs the mom had later. So I tell you this because as a child, his father got up and left. You know, he was an artist. He went to Philadelphia. It wasn't a part of his life. And throughout his entire childhood, from like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they constantly had to go to the emergency room because he was having asthma attacks to the point that he couldn't breathe. He needed to be hospitalized. And you look at that, you're like, okay, well, that's some significant impact on a person's development. But then you look at the upbringing he had. He experienced severe abuse and neglect at the hands of his mom and the mom's boyfriends, to the point that he was bruised, cut, losing teeth, going to school. And, you know, the mom, one time there's an incident, it beat him with a broom to the point knocked out all of his teeth because he erased something out of a journal of hers. So this is a traumatized soul at a young age that doesn't need to be experiencing that. And by the way, anytime your mom's boyfriends are beating you up, you know what they're doing probably with the mom too. So one of the adverse childhood experiences actually that Dr. Folletti talks about is watching abuse committed against your mother is actually a very, very, very traumatic experience. So that was happening to him. And then, you know, the first time he ever got drunk, he was 7 years old. His aunt got him drunk off alcohol. So imagine what that kind of confusion that causes in the mind of a child. And then he started acting out. You know, he started acting out at a young child, 6, 7, 8 years old. And acting out, the definition I like to go out is kind of like behavior for which I have no words for. So, you know, he didn't have that deep voice that we all know him having. He was just acting out in different ways. He was stealing, getting caught up in the system. There was a summer that his mom locked him in his bedroom an entire summer, and she only let him go out to use the bathroom. There was a time that he went to a overnight place. The mom said we're staying there for a few hours. She kept him at this youth home for 18 months. And that's the first time he experienced rage and abandonment, you know. And then the progression of this man's life becomes serious. I mean, there's a lot of legal stuff that happens. And by the way, early childhood trauma has cognitive, social, emotional, psychological impairments that last a lifetime. One of the outcomes of childhood trauma, by the way, is the much shorter life expectancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody that has 6 of these adverse childhood experiences versus someone that doesn't have them has a 20-year shorter life expectancy. 20 years, and we can talk about how that is. So, the reason I say this is because people, they look at an individual that allegedly overdosed and died at the end of his life, and you know he was famous at some point in the early 2000s and kind of fell off. This man was traumatized as a child. And, you know, and then he's, 14 years old, he leaves the house, 14 years old, leaving the house and being a part of the streets. And what do you get exposed there? It's just more of that. And it's just more of other individuals that have experienced the same trauma. And what do you think the sense of identification that gets created in the street life and the gang life is? You know, it's a commonality they've experienced. And, you know, and then you institutionalize, incarcerated over and over again. And I even read that he even tried to seek out faith in his life. And he really was trying, man. He was really trying to get clean, get sober, find out faith, how he can help human beings out. But, you know, sometimes we forget the big picture of human beings. And I hope that, you know, last week we talked about breaking the stigma and we talked about all that kind of stuff. I really hope that this week we continue on that talk and hopefully allow a little bit more compassion to happen for something like this. And as I hear you talk, you know, one more thing later on I want to talk about is just limelight and celebrities in general, you know, and I want to talk about how, you know, from the early famous Hollywood movie stars of the 40s and 50s, they're synonymous with drug use and addiction and why, you know, so hopefully you get a little bit deeper understanding of that. So that's what I had for him, though. It's just I really wanted to highlight his childhood development, man.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that a little bit.
Absolutely.
So we will go back to celebrity. There's so much with this man. We're going to go back to the celebrity issue, and I will go back to see, you know, I read a comment on TikTok. There was no drugs in his system, which I wasn't able to verify. But we do know that somehow, in an elusive way, they've tied in heart attack, massive coronary event, and drugs and his death. And I'll go back to that and talk about how all those can relate. But to add to what you said, let me add a few things. It's even worse than that, okay? He was African-American, okay? To be an African-American male as a marginalized subcategory of our population is profoundly difficult, okay? To be African-American, 1970, Baltimore, relatively probably poor in a dysfunctional household is even more difficult. All right. So every once in a while, I think about those people that say, to a great extent, substance abuse is a choice, without taking away the individual's responsibility for decisions today. And when I really meditate and sink my teeth into the way a person may come up without a father, let me tell you, African American, male, abusive household. Let me just take the fatherhood thing. I grew up without a father, okay? And my father passed away when I was 4, maybe 5 at most, from substance abuse. And I mean, I didn't stop thinking about my father till my late 20s. There didn't go a single day that didn't go by, and I started to formalize, intellectualize, and meditate on it. This is a guy, what are we going to call him? Earl? Yeah, let's call him.
Yeah, let's call him Earl.
Yeah, he's thrown into this world without any tools or guidance. Okay, and a young male and young females to a great extent as well. But I'm just gonna to take nothing away from females, but he's a male, and I want to kind of just focus in and hone in on that. And to a great extent, it applies to females out there as well. They need, all of them, that you need love, emotional support, and safety. And it's the father in your life that gives you the tools on how to go about this world. And in fact, you intrinsically seek it. And to add to some of the data you gave with these adverse childhood experiences, what we do know also is that their brain size never actually develops at the same rate and to the same extent of their peers. And it just shows you the volume and sheer tenacity of this man to survive in some ways and get at the top of his game. And a lot of that was a lot of emotional force. And he was also brilliant. Okay, just because he didn't go to Harvard and didn't have the same language as someone like that and expressed it in the medium that was accessible to him, that's neither here or there. He was brilliant. And if you see in their adult life, he had financial problems. And just as a point for you, in 2009, he actually did become an ordained minister. So he was very active in that stuff. And then eventually, as a grown-up man, especially in the late 90s, after this whole thing on the West Coast started to a great extent with guys like NWA and so forth, and some other guys on the East Coast, he just comes out and he's just honest about his vulnerability and his issues. And that's what I have to add. It's surprising. And yes, they do die earlier. I didn't know the number of 20 years, which is just disturbing. And substance abuse is a big, big component of the way these individuals end up finding comfort, solace, and security. It's a warm blanket to get those neuroreceptors and neurotransmitters to fire off so they can feel like the rest of us. And then it becomes catch-22 and a vicious cycle that kills you.
Absolutely. I mean, alcohol was probably the warmest hug that he never gotten and always needed, if you want to put it in those lights. He did experience, there was crack cocaine in Baltimore, all that kind of stuff like that. That's a part of his story too. It was in there. And I think it's a story a lot of human beings there. And, for him also, music was also a drug. There's also things that could be a positive outlet for human beings. Music, when he's making beats, when he's coming up with lyrics, when he's writing, he's out of his own experience and into something else that's being productive for him. And I also read that in junior high, he was a track star. He was the fastest kid in his school. So the sports was also another drug of choice for him until, it's not enough because the amount of trauma. And yes, they were very poor. You know, there's stories of him sleeping on the floor with cockroaches all over his body and that kind of stuff like that. And I can't relate with that because I don't know the pain of that. But it breaks my heart when people say, well, you know, everyone's got the same opportunities. He can do whatever heck everybody else wants to do. Where does he learn that? You know, where does the Earls of the world learn that? When there's no parent around, when the mom's unhealthy, I'm assuming there's probably addiction or mental illness. And Earl was diagnosed, reportedly diagnosed with bipolar disorder also. So, you know, using alcohol and using cocaine to self-medicate the ups and downs of that mental illness is something that's very common. So, you know, where is that? You know, that's the compassion we're missing systemically is like, you expect these human beings to go be able to live the American dream when they're set up with zero resources, zero tools, zero ability to be able to do all that kind of stuff. So thank God for avenues like music that actually gives them a voice to be heard, because without music, he would have never been heard. Without music, the Earls and people that identify with him won't even have a chance to ever speak up. No one will ever know they existed, you know? So I went back and listened to some of his stuff, you know, after this, because it was a big part of my adolescence in my high school. And it was just really cool to be able to have that nostalgia of like, hey, this guy helped me out in my life when I was feeling, you know, sad, or I had a chip on my shoulder, or I was, you know, angry, resentful. I was an immigrant kid. You know, this guy really helped me identify. And it was just a nice journey for myself to go through that experience. Yeah.
And, you know, I have some thoughts. Again, I'm going outside of my handbook of clinical repertoire of being whatever it is I am as a clinician and a professor. But, you know, I've spent years really trying to tie in the loose ends. But you asked, where does he get that? And I have an answer for you. You know, Viktor Frankl, as you know, does, in fact, where he gets that is the miracle and the mystery of what it is to be a human being. Right. That is soaring above and beyond. Right. That is survival. That is finding ways and means to not just physically survive. Right. But emotionally survive, like psychologically to cope and achieve such great heights. And, you know, what is interesting for everyone out there, this is a great opportunity. And I do want to use him as an opportunity to, in a positive way, this tragedy to use to spread. You know, here's this super rock star, really, who, you know, people think he has all this money. And the depth and breadth of his suffering as, again, an African-American man growing up in that situation and achieving, quote unquote, success. And I have this challenge for everybody out there to really think about if he's suffering and if he had such an outcome, which may have been related to drugs, can you imagine the thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of every day of us suffering through this without even half the potential tools and resources that he did? Not just, and this really, really goes out to the African-American community, to a lot of the Mexican-American community, to a lot of women, to a lot of people caught up in the prison industrial complex. And now as this disease, this issue has spread throughout white America, and it became an epidemic where you should have gone to Harlem in 1974 and seen an epidemic of young African males strung out on heroin without any tools to move forward. But nevertheless, and the fact, as I pointed out to you earlier, you know, for all the wonderful things that he did in his art, the brilliance, the one thing that the media, this crap media of ours, should have caught on in the last 30 years and really pushed out there is not how, you know, his lyrics and what he did was amazing, but they should grasp on to his fame, his talent, his skills, and utilize it and say, hey, people, hey, youth, look, here's this guy, and he's talking to you about trauma, drama, pain, mental health. And this guy was, I think, I'm going to speculate, had a lot of stuff going on in demons, and that was never done. And, but so, in our little small world, I wanted to take this opportunity to really tell everybody out there. And it always reminds me how much so many people out there are suffering, even the ones that don't have insurance or can't come out. Everybody is hurting nowadays. And so, that's my thoughts on that. We can talk a little bit about him. I'm going to look at questions, but I do want to talk about his substance abuse and this issue of massive heart attack. I couldn't find much out there, which is interesting. I do know that crack cocaine, at some point, he expressed it to be a drug of choice, and his mentor sort of turned him on to it. And he was so... Go ahead. You were saying that?
No. Go for it.
His mentor sort of turned him on to it. And in that, he did express in an article sometime back, I remember, about his disappointment and hurt about somebody that he looks up to betrayed him in that way. And this, I feel, is common with fatherless boys, right? Constantly looking for that adult male figure to trust, and you either get molested or betrayed or used in some other way. And this vicious thing goes on, and you actually come up with a lot of issues, mental health issues, personality pathologies, and substance abuse. But anyway, he expressed crack cocaine. Later on, different places I saw discussions of opiates. And I will say this, how can we tie in his heart attack to substance abuse, right? And I think there was mental health issues that were not addressed. Again, more stuff will come out. I'll do some more reading. But I noticed his fine motor movements in very late interviews. And I went back and looked when, by the way, him and I are exactly the same age. Born 1970. We're both 50 years old. So that was interesting. If his drug of choice was crack cocaine or stimulants or methamphetamines, whatever it was, whether he was actively doing it at this time or binging over time, back and forth, it certainly does increase his chance of a massive coronary event. So, I want people to understand that issue there. I don't know to what extent opiates were involved. Some years back, it seems like he did overdose on opiates and Narcan revived him. And what opiates do is that they do nothing to your heart, guys. They stop the respiratory drive. You have a pulmonary arrest, which by itself, because now you're not pumping fresh oxygen to the blood, you end up having oftentimes coronary arrest. That's how that mechanism works. With stimulants, sometimes during active use, sometimes in the long run from long chronic use, it will contribute to a massive coronary infarction or a stroke. And he was probably not taking that great care of himself anyways, because he didn't seem like it. And so that's all I want to add. Let me see over here. See if there's any questions. Guys, come on here and ask questions. TikTok folks, please remember I am on YouTube, not really able to answer the questions here. And if you have questions on anything, this is an opportunity for us to answer questions, because it's also difficult to answer the thousands of questions that come in. So this couple of hours on Sundays is my way of making sure you guys don't think you're being blown off. So go on the YouTube channel, but I'm going to look for some questions here. Here's there's KM. He says hello. Here's a question from Dino. Can amphetamine do that every time? Every time I have taken it, my heart feels strange. Yes. Well, I don't know what you mean by do that, but you get vasoconstriction, so less blood flowing through your vessels. That itself, imagine someone who has hypertension, it's the same idea through a different mechanism, increases your chances of coronary events and stroke. But it also is a sympathomimetic, which essentially, in short, it means it's going to increase your heart rate, cause irregular rhythms, and all of those can lead to such bad outcomes. It's just one of the it's one of the effects of drugs like methamphetamines. Okay, let's go to Mary. All right, it's always the boyfriends. So are you single moms out there? Don't do it. Bring the boyfriends. I'm not sure what that means, Parham.
I think because I was referring to how you know, his when his father was gone, the mom had a series of boyfriends that also ended up being abusive towards not only him, but I'm assuming the mom. So some lady was kind of standing up for the importance of making sure that you know who your children are being surrounded with. That's what I'm assuming that was.
Yeah. So Mary, thank you. This is so important. And recently, you know, these moms say, "Hey guys, you know." Well, I'm going to get that later. This is really important because, especially with boys and females, actually, when they see, you know, children have a natural inclination to be with mom and dad, and there might be different reasons that that's not the case. But please consider even bringing any, you know, unless if you're going to get married, you know, I'm not going to sit here and judge or comment on someone's, I don't know, promiscuity or the number of guys they date. But at a young age, this itself can be traumatic for kids, whether we like it or not. Okay. Let's see. I like this, Mary. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's our buddy, Music. Hi. Music can be an expression of emotions going on inside. Looking back on my life, learning to play the piano helped me a lot as a child to deal with events with happening. Yeah, absolutely. Music is one of those mysterious expressions of human beings that is deeply related to mathematical forms in the universe. But I would say with this particular artist, I'm not taking away anything against his religiosity, but I would actually argue that his music was his vehicle of outlet, whether he realized it or not.
And that's very common with a lot of individuals that in childhood they experience a lot of pain, man. It's music is their outlet. It's their form of processing their emotions. It's a form of being able to be okay with what's inside their mind, you know, simultaneously. And again, because they don't have healthy outlets, they don't have people to speak to when they're a child, and when the music just comes out. And then, you know, once the music stops, these are all performers too. So once the music stops and the thousands of people are gone and they're in their room by themselves, all of that stuff that's already inside them starts to surface. And that's why substance abuse later on, after the careers are over, once the fame is gone or they're out of the limelight, it significantly increases, is because it's like they feel like a part of their world, their identity is almost over. This happens with professional athletes too.
I was going to say it happens with athletes, and you know who else it happens to? It happens with a lot of physicians, especially us more old school ones, especially surgeons. You know, they really things kind of fall apart after they quit. I'm just going down this list here. Guys, get on here, make a comment, introduce yourself, ask a question, whatever it is, TikTok or YouTube. I see quite a few of you on here. Engage with us. Feel free. Don't be shy. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Mary. Okay. Let's look at DT's comment.
So it says, it seems opiates usually leads to suicide more than other drugs, naming off a few people like Kurt Cobain, Robert Williams. Anthony Bourdain and others who had it going great for them, it's almost a certainty.
Yeah, I'm not certain that that could just be selection bias here, but I've always connected to opiates in a different way than stimulants, and I've always thought truly opiates are a warm blanket of cognitive dissonance with your shitty life. And I'm sure stimulants and other stuff have the same effect on other people.
And here too, I mean, so opiates is a depressant. It does cause, over time, it does cause an individual to become more depressed, depending on how long you use it. Plus, it's a painkiller. So these individuals are using these opiate medications. And I'll put alcohol in that mix too, by the way. I want to make sure that we're putting alcohol in any list that leads to suicidality, because it is the king of all depressants, in my opinion, because of the accessibility.
Absolutely is. Interestingly, and I'm going to do a video on this soon, alcohol also has some stimulant properties,
Sure.
which I'll talk about at some other point. And it obviously has sedative, hypnotic properties. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Patrick, Parham says, do you think DMX was self-medicating? I guess. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Patrick, if you have a chance, maybe you just popped on, but if you watch this from the beginning, we really covered the lifespan development of Earl, or AKA DMX, and he absolutely there has to have been substance abuse used for mental health, for sadness, for depression, for anxiety. I mean, 100%. Whether it's documented or not, he was using it to cope with the hand that was dealt to him, as a child. And later on, the consequences, the legal consequences, financial implications, broken relationships, a lot of stuff that happened. How many people take advantage of these individuals in the business world too later on in life? It's these things don't really get reported, So 100%, in my opinion, as a clinician, I do believe that there was some form of self-medication going on with the Earls of the world.
Yeah, I think I agree 100%. In fact, I think it's 100%. But Parham just brought up something interesting. The tragic thing about Earl was he went from a world where the primary issue, forget the physical pain of getting your ass kicked, the emotional emptiness, the lack of trust that you don't have an opportunity to build those connections in your brain. He actually comes up, and what does he jump into? Celebrity status and rapping. Well, yep. Who in the hell gives a crap about you in that world? And I'm sure he's aware of it. Everybody around you is there because you're a rich, famous rapper. And so imagine the loneliness. And he seemed like he had some solid people around him as well. But nevertheless, and he had been in treatment, and I don't know where he went, but I'm very biased about what we do and what we know. So yeah, it's almost like it was just bad on top of bad. Somebody Parham said. So someone down here, they said he was clean because he wanted to promote his, so he took the protein shot to travel. He took the shot a week earlier. Did that interfere with his health? Protein shot or COVID vaccine? I don't know about protein shot, but I'm going to add something here, Gigi. Somebody else asked, Jennifer also asked, how much do you think he took for him to have a heart attack? I want to be clear. I want to clarify all of this. I made a point. I don't know if he had dope on board, any kind of dope, stimulants or otherwise. My point was that if you are doing, let's say, crack cocaine, okay, both acutely, if you're actually using right then and there, or a long history of it, right, in different ways, they actually will increase your chance of a heart attack for a whole bunch of mechanisms. So I don't know, Gigi, if he was actively using, and it doesn't almost matter, because I think not just the drug itself, but everything that comes with the drug, even if he was clean at the moment, lifestyle choices, impulsive decision making, lack of seeking appropriate health care, even the up and down of, you see a lot of celebrities getting clean and then falling, getting clean. That's not your body, your brain would like homeostasis. Okay. It doesn't like you gaining 300 pounds, losing 200 pounds, gaining 200 pounds, losing 100 pounds. It wants homeostasis. Its mechanisms are always aiming at the most microscopic level. It's always aiming to create equilibrium, both mathematically and physically. And so in that same way, the chronic use over years will lead to that. I don't know if you have something to add to that.
No, man. There was actually a question here. I made a note to make sure we talked about. It was someone said, I don't think DMX died. It's 219 today. And I do want to talk, because we talked about trauma a little bit. I just want to share. It's a 219. Sherry said, I don't think DMX died because of using drugs. And she just wrote about the duration of time that he used. Yeah, this one. Okay. So Sherry, thank you for this comment. I don't think DMX died because of using drugs. He did use drugs. And when anybody uses drugs and alcohol for a long period of time, it does cause other health issues. And going back to our original point of this thing, it's like, for me, it was the trauma that did it. For me, it was the duration of adverse childhood experiences he had, because adverse childhood experiences, when the brain of a child starts to get impacted at a young age, and then we're talking about serious abuse, neglect, trauma that happened to this man's life. When it starts happening, it starts to have social, cognitive, psychological, physical impairments. It starts to impair people on all those different levels. So what happens is, as he's growing up, he's starting to have impacts with the way that he's coping, because his anxiety, his depression, his fear, whatever's going through. People reach out for various ways to manage that, oftentimes substance abuse. A lot of times he starts to experience social problems, so he starts to get incarcerated over and over again. He starts to have various, behavior issues, and all of that, the accumulation of all of that. So it's not the drugs, it's the accumulation of all of that over a long lifespan leads to shorter life expectancy. So I want to agree with that. And by the way, sometimes if you're ever curious to know where the childhood experiences, adverse experiences came, I know Dr. B, you know this, but Dr. Ethan Folletti, the source of all this, he did it because he was working as the director of an obesity clinic. And what was happening inside of his obesity clinic was a lot of people that had all these reasons to live were showing up under his care and supervision, and they were unable to follow through with the guidance, the suggestions, the recommendations of his program. And then he started to say, okay, something has to be going on here. And he started to go through, and he created these 8 childhood adverse experiences, and he started to give it to everybody. And this was a Kaiser Permanente thing. And what happened was, he realized, with research that was, I believe it was 17,000 participants. He found to the root of all this stuff that even something like obesity, the childhood experience was something very, very correlated with it, to the point that they were showing up to these clinics. And, so that always brings me to, I always talk about it, man. Food is a drug. A lot of people use food in order to deal with adverse childhood experiences, which leads to cardiovascular diabetes, which leads to a lot of shorter life expectancy, full-blown heart attacks, because of not a drug, because of food, the drug that's found available at the drive-through for many people. And so, yes, I just wanted to highlight that, because that's one of my passion areas.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with it at all. In fact, it's quite complex, whether that poorly developed brain and the coping mechanisms, however you want to put it, and we'll never actually, in many cases, ever know. But, whether it's the poor decisions made, the impulsive behavior, the elevated level of cortisol running through their body, certain areas of the brain not developed right, causing this. The end mechanism in this case was a heart attack, and those things all contribute. Wow, look, it's weird. I have Jesse on here. Hi, Jesse. I won't say who you are, but what a trip to see you on here. Good to see you, man. Sorry I had a hard time reaching out this last couple of weeks. If you want, come on here and say hi to Parham. You actually might know Parham, Jesse, and he may not remember you. But come on up here and say hello to everyone. Yes. Parham, I'm looking at here's something right up what you were saying from Mrs. Dubia.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, that about adds up. No, Jennifer, no. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't raise your risk for that. Hey, Misty, nice to see you. A lot of cool comments. I'm trying to look for a question.
Yeah, I haven't really seen that many questions. There's a lot of people that are. It seems like you have an enlightened group watching this, because a lot of people are understanding the correlation between adverse childhood experiences and the stuff we're talking about. There's a lot of compassion too for DMX on this side chat.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of interesting because that's another thing that brings up. Nowadays, it seems like at least the community we're dealing with is starting to get a really deep understanding of this issue. But one other thing is this guy was from a different world and a different community, and they seem to understand it. One other thing you said earlier, Parham, I saw this little piece by his sister, his older sister, and in there she had gone through much of the same thing, and it was quite heart-wrenching. And she commented the reason she doesn't drink alcohol or do drugs is simply because of the fear of finding solace and basically her cocoon in those things. That is her fear of drugs and alcohol. And I thought that was insightful. Jennifer, what question is this? Do you know what she's referring to? Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Have you ever had a patient or heard of one that had a reaction to Suboxone in regards to leg swelling that's so much that a wound opened? The only thing I can say about that, Jennifer, is in general, that is not a side effect of Suboxone. One thing I can say is this: if the person had a true allergic reaction, you would have potentially bilateral leg swelling, and it could be so bad that a wound can open. But no, this question is not something that I would think of immediately, and I'm just making educated speculations about it. And I could do a literature search, but I don't think I'm going to find something, because I do a literature search on buprenorphine, Suboxone quite regularly. Let's see. What's that one with my husband on Mrs. Dubia?
It was about, he had a same thing, long-term substance abuse, heart failure.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of these with, I've seen this in young folks with methamphetamines and cocaine. And also, don't forget, if you're using the needle, that brings another thing that has come back, which was gone. And you can have infectious valve failure that can lead to heart failure. Jesse just asked Nicole from Real Talk Recovery, and you can come on. And she's actually about to come on right now. Hold on. Let's add Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, guys. I'm at the dog park. Isn't it beautiful out here?
Sure is.
So I just wanted to let everybody know, first of all, RIP DMX. I used to listen to his music, you guys, hardcore. 97, 98, 99, 2000. Me and my girlfriend actually got ready and was going to go to a party and go to one of his concerts, because it was going to be here in Malvern, Arkansas, but they ended up canceling the concert, and we were so disappointed. But Anyway, I wanted to tell you guys, I'm dropping a link in the comment section. All you have to do is click that link and it will bring you on here just like I am right now with Dr. B and Parham. And you don't have to show your face if you don't want to. You can choose to just show your avatar and you can come up here and ask questions, chit chat, share your experiences or your thoughts on DMX, just like I just did right now. It's super easy. So when you see the link that I'm dropping, click it and come up here. Don't be shy. It's a good time. That's what I was going to come up and tell everybody.
And can you tell the same to the
Okay,
TikTok?
guys.
Nicole. So for the TikTok
Yeah.
folks, I'm just saying for the TikTok folks, same thing. I'm trying to only answer questions of people coming on YouTube. It's just too hard to manage both things. I check out what you guys are saying on here every little bit, but please come on the channel and you can ask questions. You can come on, show your face, not show your face. It's we've made it really easy, and you can ask Nicole. Okay, you're back home, Nicole. It was nice having you.
I'll go over there to TikTok and let everybody know.
Okay.
Love you guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Nicole.
Here you go. God, I wish. What do you think about this?
I read that in the news too. I don't know enough about it to say anything.
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate, and they may be saying that. I don't know. There's no. I'll double check, but I've never. I don't think that is the case. Here's one for us, Darian, about. Okay. What's your thoughts on kratom as a tool for opiates, alcohol, depression, and could that have helped DMX? Thank you. Parham, you want to give your thoughts first if you have any on this particular issue?
No, I prefer for you to, just because it's a medication kind of. I mean,
Sure.
Plant that people use medicinally.
Yeah. So I would, Darren, my answer again. If you come on, I'm happy to give you a much deeper answer. My answer is a categorical no on kratom. I have quite a few videos on YouTube on this question in different ways and different manifestations. I think I don't want to comment too much on the help that he was getting. I always wonder if he was on subs, which actually have been shown. I don't say this, but they've been shown to also help with cocaine withdrawals and cravings. It's at a certain amount. But I always wonder if he got the right help. And Parham, even if you do go, so I've taken care of probably one celebrity at least, and quite a bit of people that are at least near the 1%er group of people. And one of the things that I've never had this issue except with the one celebrity I took care of. And this one was a horrible case, tragic, difficult situation. But no, I would assume when a guy like DMX does get help, everybody's more like waiting hand and foot on him versus really engaging him and holding him accountable and responsible for recovery. I don't know. The one, like I said, when I have my really well-to-do clients, I do what I do, and it's all confidential. And the one celebrity I had, he was a really problematic addict, and he would, you're trying to talk to him, and he was so off the wire. He's sitting here saying, "Did you know I'm worth $1 billion? F you." And he would get out and walk off. And that turned out horribly. But, I don't know the quality. Do you know anything about the kind of quality of help that he did get? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure, man. Let me, I'm going to say something really quick about this kratom comment too, since it's still posted there. I don't know, I'm a categorically no individual too here. And I can tell you why, at least from my professional experience. So working in the recovery space, or human beings trying to improve the quality of their life, getting off of substances that are, causing harm to them, trying to pivot, the direction of their life, redefine themselves. I've noticed that human beings have tried taking kratom while they're trying to do that. And there is no date. So this is what I'm saying right here is not like a research statement I'm saying. This is just observation from someone that's been in the field for over a decade. The ones that have taken this in their own hand and started to use and abuse, and the amount of tolerance and dependence and stuff like that that happens with kratom is very hard to manage on your own, and let alone the negative impacts that it has. But I've seen people return almost always to their drugs of choices, to the previous lifestyle. And so again, there's no research on that. I'm just saying that as someone that believes in the process of transformation, I haven't seen that many transformations done with the use of kratom.
And in fact, Parham, the fact that there is no research on it means don't do it.
Don't do it, yeah.
You know, from that kind of perspective. And, you know, I don't want to get too deeply into it, but, you know, we just don't have any data on, and I've always told people that there is potential for therapeutic use of kratom, but we're a long ways away from that because no one's doing the research, and this kind of market consumer advocacy of it is dangerous. And people that say it worked for me adds up to nothing more than anecdotal reports from more detail. There's Sherry. We got Sherry on here.
Yeah, if you want to remove this guy's question too, so we could, so it doesn't say.
Sorry. How do I do it?
Just click on the same question. Yeah, so about the celebrity question that you asked about the type of care they get, I do want to highlight one thing about celebrities, since we're talking about one today, you know, a musician. Celebrities, you know, people think that their lives, you know, because of the amount of fame or wealth that they accumulate, you know, when they become a celebrity, people think that they have this really, really good life. And I've actually had the opportunity, the privilege to work with some, to talk to some, to know some, on and off the professional lens. And when I go through their history of what it's like to be a child growing up, trying to become a celebrity, and that's, by the way, they're very, very common story of them, the amount of pressure, the amount of anxiety, the amount of performance anxiety, the amount of feeling you're letting people down, going and facing rejection after rejection after rejection in auditions. I mean, people hate to hear no. People don't put themselves out there because they don't want to get rejected. Imagine as a 4, 5, 6, 10-year-old kid, you constantly get rejected, right? And then what happens is they actually get to a certain level. And what happens is when people get to a certain level in life, they realize that it doesn't do anything for their overall level of happiness. They're just the exact same version of themselves, just with a little bit more fame now. And it's a very, very challenging life at that point, because we need people that can give us checks and balances. We need people that can be straightforward, honest to us. Celebrities, they get this kind of a cocoon bubble created around them that everyone becomes a yes man or a yes sir. Everyone just co-signs whatever they do. They kind of create this environment that they become, no one can say anything to them. You know, there's this sense of entitlement that gets created in a lot of them. And I'm not saying there isn't humble celebrities and actors out there. There for sure are. But for the ones that especially come through not the best upbringing, and all of a sudden they get a lot of fame going for them, you can see how negative impacts it has. And then, like, you know, I look back and celebrities always amaze me, man, because they're so good at what they do. And so that means they're actually putting a lot of time, energy, effort in there. I looked up like Judy Garland, just because I really like the new movie of her that was out. She played about 26 to 29 movies a year. You know what kind of like work pressure that is? 29 movies a year, expected to be a certain way, talk a certain way, look a certain way, act a certain way. And the amount of like amphetamine use that gets, you know, engaged in their life at like the age of 12 years old to be able to keep up, you know, with the appearances, if you will. And then they go home at night and their brain won't shut off. They can't just rest and just turn it off after being in front of all those lights and cameras and stuff. And then the whole downers, man, the alcohol, the pills, all that kind of stuff. So my heart actually goes out to celebrities. I legitimately feel bad sometimes for celebrities, not because I feel bad for the lifestyle they have. I feel bad that when the fame's gone and they're just there by themselves, man, it's like, what must that person experience? You know, it's money doesn't solve a lot of things, unfortunately, as people falsely believe that does, you know. So I would love one day to continue talking about, you know, the impact of celebrities and just their development through the lifespan, and the reason why substance abuse is such a common thing that we use with people that are celebrities, you know.
Those are all interesting, and I agree with you. And we can, we should actually do that at some point here and explore all of that. Let me bring in, I see Sherry. Ready, Sherry? Okay. Hi, Sherry. Welcome on.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I just want to tell you guys, you're doing a great job, and I appreciate all the information you're putting out there for everybody. I think it's about time that somebody does that, and we address all these addiction issues that we're all experiencing, especially now.
Yeah.
We appreciate that, Sherry. Where are you from?
I'm from Pennsylvania, actually Newcastle, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. All right. Good, good. Okay, so I think I've seen you on here before. Did you come on last couple of weeks? Yeah, yeah.
No, this is the first time for me.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. Well,
Yes.
we love the feedback. We love it that you're on here. Parham, I think we're going to do this every week.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday. And we're waiting to get as much feedback from you guys as we can to really develop this and narrow this into something for everyone out there. And we both have sort of aligned, and some of it different objectives, but it all aligns. You know, for me and Parham, I want you to give it. For me, it's to educate, really educate, because I think there's a paucity of meaningful education out there. I want to remove stigma. I want to empower individuals out there with whatever tools and resources they have is to seek the right care. And Parham was the perfect sort of person to partner up with. And Parham has his own stuff going on. Parham, please give us some feedback. Where you see all of this? And we appreciate it.
Sherry, the reason we're doing this is exactly for the moment that you're experiencing with us right now. Is to go reach across this beautiful country to wherever Sherry is in Pennsylvania and say, hey, we're here for you. We're here for the recovery community. We're here to discuss, educate, empower human beings. And also, you know, a lot of times the medical professional, the treatment professionals get a bad rap. You know, it's like people don't care. They don't care about us. They're this and they're that. And we're two people sitting in our living rooms or our bedrooms on a Sunday saying, not only do we care about you, we'll sit here, listen to you, answer your questions, and create a community that's awesome. So I want you to know, Sherry, that I'm grateful for this opportunity. I see this as an opportunity. It's not vice versa around. And if there's anything that you need answered, feel free to ask us. If not, continue to go spread this message for other people, and really, really appreciate you.
And you know, Parham,
most definitely. I always post up things from Dr. B.
Good.
You know, Sherry, Parham just actually pointed something out. And again, I keep seeing stuff on TikTok. Guys, go to the YouTube, ask the questions. I'm here with Parham to answer those. We just can't do it on TikTok. Sherry, Parham just hit on something. We don't take this lightly in the same, because we actually, long time ago, I learned to appreciate what you have, or the privileges that you have. The very fact that you guys come on here and are willing to listen to us. I'm way too old and way beyond it feeding my ego, and I have all kinds of obligations. We take it as an honorable position to be in, and I really mean that. You know, we take it with, we don't take it lightly. Number one, it's a heavy responsibility to come on here and say whatever you say, because you may make a lifetime decision on it. And some of it with Parham more heavy than me, because he's making these grand mental health calls out there, even though we're not giving individual response. So I want you to know that we don't take it lightly. We appreciate it, and we're honored as well that so many people actually reach out and listen to what we have to say.
Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on TV here.
Bye, Peter.
Thanks, Sherry.
Sherry's cool.
There was a couple things here, Dr. B, that came up about Valerian Root. I'm personally curious. Do you know anything about Valerian Root?
A little bit. It's got some side effects. What did they ask?
So one individual, Sandra, wrote, please be careful of Valerian Root. It's also dangerous. And then someone else asked, what's wrong with Valerian Root? So the reason I ask is because my wife had a very, very, very bad reaction to Valerian Root. Her heart started beating really, really fast. And it's something that I've seen used for calming with combination with melatonin, but I've seen it used, you know, so I'm curious if you know. Yeah, someone says they got hospitalized for it. So
yeah, you can get hospitalized for it. And in fact, it is, it's not necessarily the safest thing. They use it often for insomnia.
Yeah,
I think they use it for sleeping issues. I think people also use it for anxiety, stress. There's very, very little scientific research to support any of these uses. Okay, and in general, you start to see the commercialization of these things, but then you start to see people also mix it up with different things that they're taking, and nobody knows what's going to happen. What are some of the other things they take valerian root for? I think menstrual cramps is another one. So there's a lot of this stuff, and so yes, it is dangerous. And if I recall, it can also let's see, palpitations is one of the things.
Yeah, that's what my wife experienced. Very, very rapid heart palpitations. I mean, it was like really rapid. You know,
yeah,
it was,
headaches, stomach. They feel like excitability. Like I said, heart palpitations, and some people actually get insomnia when they take it for sleep. Also, dry mouth. So valerian root has. And also, we also know that long-term use with escalating doses, many people do and can experience withdrawal symptoms.
That's what she wrote too. Someone here wrote that they experienced withdrawals from it. So they had to go to the hospital.
Yeah, you can get withdrawal symptoms. So I'll probably do a video on it at some point here. What else? Does that answer whatever you were asking?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to turn my brain to valerian root. What else we got? Let's see. By the way, if you're taking this stuff and you want to come off, I always recommend seeing a doctor. And to the best that we know, 1 to 2 weeks slow taper. You know, go easy. Okay, let's see what we got, Parham. Sherry said, thank you, Parham. Do you know what this one's about from Eva?
Yeah, I made sense of it a little bit. So this is Eva or Eva. She said, I'm an addict. And I want you to say, instead of saying you're an addict, since you seem like you're new to this, I want you to say I'm a human being experiencing addictions or problems with drugs and alcohol. Let's humanize your label to yourself. If you could do that for me, Eva or Ava, I would appreciate that. It says you're largely still using, so my heart goes out to you because I know what it's like to be in that experience personally. Just so you know, I'm almost 13 years free from drugs and alcohol. And you've been educating yourself a lot about why you keep on relapsing. So the first thing I got to say is education is great. But the one thing about addiction world is this, you know, I think it was Einstein. I don't know if he actually said this or if it was attributed to it, but he says a solution to a problem can't and won't come from the same level of thinking that originally created it. So when it comes to addictions and when it comes to trying to discover things about self, the blind spots, I highly suggest that you communicate, participate in some type of a treatment with an outside, objective professional that can kind of let you know what they see, let you know what they can, give you some feedback, some guidance, some suggestions, maybe create a treatment plan, and to go from there, because you don't know what you don't know. And I understand that you're trying to learn, and that's a wonderful place to start. You know, the stages of change, it's always pre-contemplation, contemplation. You're starting to think about the change. So that's where you are right now. But don't do it on your own. You're going to lose the battle versus addictions.
Great. I think Parham says all of it there, Eva, and I agree 100%. But it looks like there's quite a few questions. I'm going to start moving. I got to give you the controls over this thing. Again, TikTok guys, come on over. We want to try and answer these and make this really a productive couple of hours here for you guys, because him and I could start a topic and do an education thing, and we'll do some of that in the future. But come on, ask questions, get on here really quick and go. Lorian, hey, it's my buddy. Parham, any thoughts on that from your perspective?
How do you approach someone with a serious alcohol problem? So that's a great question. First of all, I want you to know that because there is a strategy to it. So when you say, how do you approach someone with a serious alcohol problem? I'm assuming it's someone that's drinking all the time. But even people that are drinking all the time, there's different versions of them. One is the complete inebriated version, and one is the one that is able to at least participate in a conversation. So my first level would be to not do it ever when they're, intoxicated or anything like that, because if you're also afraid of their reaction, I don't know if they have some type of a predisposition or tendency for anger, violence, outbreaks, that kind of stuff like that. If you can pick a time or find the time that the person's typically, more, some people, they don't drink in the daytime, they drink at nighttime, whatever it is, find a time to have that conversation, but let them know you want to plan it. So say, hey, on this day, can we have a conversation about this? It kind of gives them a little bit of time to not be reactive to that response. There's also always a third party. So, people's behavior changes when they're observed. I want you to know that it's common human psychology 101. So if you and that loved one are able to sit on a couch with a third party professional and bring it up, the reaction that they have in a setting when they're being observed is oftentimes different than the one that they have when they're at home. Now, am I saying the person won't get pissed off and react and leave? I don't know. That's a possible outcome. But there is also a possibility that they might listen to the person. Interventionists are human beings that are actually trained in this area. They can actually sit with you, learn more about the case than I'm actually giving you right now, to individualize it, to find out the history, the use, the relationship that you're talking about. If there's children involved, what are some risk factors? What are some protective factors? And they can help you create a plan on how to bring this conversation up. There's a lot of support people, individuals that are also invested in the same human being. The more people that you gather together with the same unified message have a better opportunity to break through and have a possible, success in the outcome. So how do you approach it? It's you approach it through education, just like this. You approach it through questions like that. And if you are worried about the reaction or the response, or if there's any fear for that kind of stuff for safety, please approach it with caution.
Sherry, Lorian, I'll add a couple of things to that. Is a few things. Depending on who the person is in terms of how close they are for you in your life.
Yeah.
One thing, if the attempt doesn't work out and this person is important enough for you to even attempt this or ask this question, always remember, this is not a quick fix situation, substance abuse. If you approach him today and you misfired, okay, and minus safety concerns, but it didn't go well and they didn't take to it well, always understand there's always tomorrow. These folks, I think in our business, we call it, is it readiness to change, Parham?
Yeah.
Depends where they are at and their readiness to change. And my thing is that there's an active approach which Parham really addressed right now of the concerns you should have when you do make that approach. And, I think I made a little thing on TikTok at one point about it is you should always be ready to catch them when they fall. And what I mean by that in this case is that you should always be vigilant to approach them when that time is ready, to the extent that that is applicable and possible in your circumstances. So my point is, if this person is important enough, don't say, well, I tried to talk to them that day and it went to shit. It doesn't work like that. This is a chronic, lifelong issue. We just spoke about DMX and the potential complexity of this man's case. And finally, to add to Parham's thing, if you do include professionals, please make sure, whatever that means for you, and we don't really have time to go, that whoever you bring on knows what the hell they're talking about, because if they don't, they can do more harm than good, and they can also lead you or the person in the wrong direction and cost a lot of money. And that's all I have to add to Parham.
There's one more thing I want to add there. She did right there, gentle, which is thank God for that. So that's a good thing to know, that the person is gentle, so they're not worried about a dangerous reaction. But I will add this, and I don't know about this if this is your case, Lorianne, but to anybody in the similar situation as Lorianne, when you have a loved one that's really drinking a lot of alcohol, my strongest suggestion always is this: since you're the one here asking the question, I'm under the assumption that you're not drinking a lot of alcohol. When you want to request for someone in your life to change, one of the worst things that you could do is engage in that same behavior with them. So again, I'm not saying that this is you, so please forgive me if I overreach there. But to someone else out there, I know people that don't have a drinking problem, and someone else has a drinking problem, and they say, well, once in a while we drink, it's okay, but they keep missing the mark. So you got to get rid of that once in a while you drink, it's okay component, because you got to control the part that you can control, because we want to always model the relationship we want. So that's a very important key there.
I just want to tell Jennifer what she's describing, since both of them, it sounds like an IG reaction, which is a real allergic reaction. And this could have been any of the parts of the formulation in the Suboxone, because there's also naltrexone, actually naloxone in there. Since it was both of you and you stopped the medication and a week later it went away, this could be what's called a true allergic reaction. And you want to be careful with that, Jennifer. But do talk to your doctor, please. Can you explain this to me, Parham? I keep saying Parham. Parham. I had my best friend Parham visit me. Shahram visit me last night from a long ways away, and so
I can explain this, but this one's on you, though. I don't know if you're going to want to do what the request is. So one of the very popular songs of Mr. Earl Simmons, DMX.
Oh, they're talking about music. Okay,
where my dog's at, so they want you to do it with a DMX voice right here. So
no, I can't.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Dakota. Hey, at least we know where the reference was from.
Jennifer, I don't know. It depends what caused the cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is a outcome of many different things. This is something there's no way I can give you any thoughts on, because it depends what caused the cirrhosis, how old they are, what stage it is, and what other dysfunction they have from it, including kidneys. Yeah, it's just it's too much of a discussion, and it wouldn't be ethical for me to speculate on the patient. I'm trying to go down here fast, Parham. Let me just tell Heather. Heather, I have a lot of I think I have a lot of videos on this on YouTube. How hard Heather asked, can you talk about how hard it is or isn't to get off Subutex? Thank you. And this is a very tailored issue. I do have quite a bit of and I'll just say this, whether you go up or down on your buprenorphine products, Subutex, Suboxone, whatever it is, should be done under the care of a clinician who really understands how to taper down or up. And that's all I can say. There's a lot of videos on here, Heather, and but it's a big discussion, so I can say that. I hope that helps someone. Oh, there you go.
Is the hookah bad for long-term health or weed? Will those cause the same complications? So obviously two separate things we're talking about there. Hookah, for those of you who don't know, it's a traditional Middle Eastern looking, it's actually a pretty beautiful piece of glass usually, and it has a couple hoses coming out of it, and you put the coil with charcoal with the tobacco, and there's a piece of foil on it. Sometimes they could put in a decorative fruit that's hollowed out, but it's straight tobacco. So it's just depending on the frequency of use, how long you're using it, the amount you're using, all those things have a factor. So it's completely different than weed. I mean, I guess you could put weed in a hookah too, don't get me wrong, but usually in a hookah bar it's not the case.
I guess you could, but in addition to that, I hope I'm saying it right. Is it Gigi or Gigi? I'm not sure. Gigi, you got to pop on here, but
probably Gigi.
Yeah, so people are often thinking multiple things, Parham, when they ask questions, and we don't know if they come on. It's easier, but I can say this that sort of separates and makes these together. Like Parham said, they're two separate things. To what extent are they the same? If you're smoking something, right? the heat, okay, and the mechanical sheer trauma of that heat and smoke going down your lungs, just that by itself over time has a dose-related relationship to cause lung damage, eventually emphysema, and potentially lung cancer. Just so you know, just that by itself, right? I mean, it's not the same as smoking a cigarette because it has carbon, but just the irritation down the bronchus and the airways and eventually the alveoli, that's trauma. So whether it's weed, cigarettes, hookah, crack cocaine, like something like crack cocaine, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, when you're smoking crack, the reason that one is so traumatic is it's intense and rapid. So they get a lot of quick lung complications just from doing that. So to that extent, the hookah and the weed are the same. Yeah. Okay. Everything else, it's exactly like what Parham said. Hope that helps. There's Jesse. Jesse, you know, I don't want to say anything about you. I really think you should pop on here and introduce yourself. And I wonder if you know Parham. You're not telling me.
No, he did say that I think he's got a child with him.
Oh, he does?
He said next week I'll be more than happy to come on.
Yeah, you might know him, Parham. He's a really, Jesse's a cool cat. Okay. I'm down to 237 BT.
Okay. 237. Let's see.
Here, should I pop it up?
This is a good one for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we do know thus far, well, let me make you asked specifically on mood and behavior, okay? And what we do know as far as mood, we know right now, not on the short term, we know right now that low-dose buprenorphine products beyond statistical significance help with treatment-resistant depression. I've known that for a long time. That data is old. I don't know how far they're taking it and so forth. That being said, I certainly don't have somebody that comes into my office and says, I'm depressed, I'm going to put you on buprenorphine because people think I'm crazy. But the population that Parham and I deal with, the substance abuse community, has a lot of mood dysregulations, right? For all of the reasons we started talking about today with DMX and we point to every week, right? There's a lot of mood issues, depression, anxiety, neurosis, whether it's personality disorder, whether it's Axis 1 co-occurring. That being said, I have found, and this is why I say you got to find someone that knows this medication inside out. I use buprenorphine heavily in the way I dose it, and times during the day I dose it, and I attempt to hit every single issue with the patient. And Alexis, our PA, has gotten really good at this. We look for sleep issues. We look for anxiety. We look for depression. We look for, outbursts of behavior. And so in the short term, it hits all of those. And just so you guys know, I have a speculation that it hits NMDA receptors in the spinal roots. But that's all of this goes to that. So all of that said, now you're asking, so mood is going to probably dictate behavior, right? It's one of the things, cognitive, intelligence and so forth affect behavior. Mood affects behavior. And so I do know that once you get these in order, in addition to taking care of the pain receptor pathways, in addition to taking care of the reward salient circuitry that is central in addiction, and the prefrontal cortex and the nucleus accumbens, all of those address all of the things you're asking in the short term, at least, or while you're on Suboxone. What that does is allow you to really engage with somebody like Parham in the long run, and little by little, you will build new synaptic connections and neural architecture, and change the regulation of your neurotransmitter release, and hopefully get to a positive place. I hope that answers your question. And my sister, can't recall a paper that tells me 20 years out, 30 years out, but I do know these are now when I say short-term effects, I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 years out. When you see someone on this medication the correct way, you almost don't even recognize them afterwards when they're a few years out. And again, this doesn't mean a person can't do it. I don't think Parham was ever on this medication. Maybe he was. I'm not asking him. I know a couple of other people that do achieve long-term recovery. But I'm talking about from a clinical perspective, when numbers is pound for pound for me, and I have to make a decision on every individual and making a statistically significant decision that affects your long-term and short-term outcome. And I think Suboxone's the way to go. Hope that helps. Parham, if you have any thoughts, please.
No, man, you broke that down better than better than I could have. That was wonderful stuff, Doc. Thank you. I learned a lot from that, actually.
Thank you. Okay, let's move. Yeah, they're working on it, and there is a few things that might work really well for cocaine. I don't want to get into it right now. This month, I have a video coming out on cocaine, methamphetamines, the latest treatments out there, the things that are in the laboratory. And surprisingly, the things that I think may work are old medications that will increase our outcomes in a positive way. One thing I will tell you, at 16 milligrams, it seems like in the initial stages of cocaine withdrawal, Suboxone works. I don't know if you know anything about this or you have anything to address on. But by the way, things like cocaine, guys, the cornerstone of treatment of cocaine and methamphetamines at this time is psychosocial, behavioral, mental health care. And I believe cocaine outcomes are about the same. And I will talk about the medications for cocaine soon, which aren't like Suboxone. But look, if you're suffering from methamphetamine abuse, if you're suffering from cocaine abuse, the key, not just to your long-term health recovery, but especially in methamphetamines, to prevent you from even going into psychosis, it's really weird, and I'll address this, is to seek good mental health care. It seems odd, but it makes really good sense. Once you look at the mechanism of these neurotransmitters, you need to engage in a solid recovery guy, the kind of stuff Parham does and Dr. G, my partner, does at my place. That is the key for stimulant abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why that's the key, so he's talking about those neurotransmitters. Let's just call dopamine the one that has cocaine, methamphetamine has a significant effect on the reuptake of dopamine. And what happens is because of the use of the drug creates the feelings of euphoria, the energy, the movement, the excitement, the pleasure. When we're not using that drug, all of a sudden the body's not producing more of its natural ones. So therefore we feel this prolonged state of depression and obviously a lot of stuff with later on psychosis, delayed psychosis, all that kind of stuff. But therapy, there are evidence-based models for like methamphetamines use. I believe it's called the matrix model. If you want to go look it up, it's proven. Use matrix model for families, actually, and there's a lot of information that's free on the internet. But to get good treatment, because what it does is treatment not only changes the way you think and the way you feel, but when those happen, the way that you move also changes. So the mind and body, it's highly connected. So when you start to think a little bit more clearly and feel a little bit better, you're going to start to move a little bit more. And when you move, your body starts to naturally produce that dopamine again. When you move your body, the neurotransmitters start to get connected again. You start to find joy in the things that you didn't find joy before. and the healing process begins in that point. So yes, medication, obviously there's a very important use at a right time, at the right dose, and the right medication, all that stuff, absolutely. But don't ever underestimate the value of the traditional talk therapy, group therapy, and the impact that it has on reconnecting the receptors of something like dopamine.
Thank you, Parham.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I think that's us. Thanks, Gloria. Again, TikTok guys, please go on YouTube, ask your questions. I hate missing your questions. Sydney, we just if you scroll up or go back, we discuss the Valerian Root issues. It's how about this one? It's Lorian again. You know, everybody promotes melatonin. For years, I was against it because of some the data that I believe is of value, but whatever. Some recent meta-analysis came up, which essentially means it's the highest form of evidence-based medicine. And I actually promote it now. Not promote it, but if someone asks me for it, I'm like, yeah, I'm down with that. Keep an eye on it. Try not to use it every night. What about you, Parham? Any thoughts on it? Just even from your behavioral health?
Yeah, observationally, I've seen it. People report, positive impact on their sleep, especially in early recovery when they have a hard time to sleep. And I'm not, I can't recommend or suggest it, as I'm not a licensed physician to do so. But observationally, I could tell I've seen people reporting that they've had success using it. Yeah, that's the safest answer I can give you, Doc.
Yeah, you can please go right ahead. I hope I didn't miss anything on Shala, but if Shala, if I missed something, ask again. I'm trying to get everybody in here.
Maybe at 252, there's a good question.
Okay.
His name is Hansai, maybe. Is it possible to ease yourself off drugs? To stop using it, doing it by easing off? Is it more likely a habit than you need to break? So it was a 252 as the timestamp.
I'm going to put that on, but I just noticed Diane on here. I'm going to get Diane, but let me find your 252 question and we'll come back to it.
That's fine.
Should I put it up or should I just...
well, if you have Diane coming on, let's get the person on.
Okay, let's get Diane on.
And you might want to remove that melatonin question right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. How do I do it?
You just got to find wherever it's highlighted and just click it.
Oh, that's hard. I know what I'll do. Hold on, Diane. Let me. I'm not.
There's no question, Dr. B. I just wanted to come on and tell my story and ask to see how you are doing. I haven't seen you.
Hey, what's up? Hold on a second. Let me. Here, I know a way of how to get this off. Like this, like that. Okay. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? Hello,
good.
everybody.
You wanna? Have you? You don't know Parham, huh?
I don't. Hi,
what's up, Diana?
I'm Diana.
How are you? Hi.
I'm doing great. Great.
She's awesome. Why don't you? I'll let you do the talking.
I just wanted to hop on. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Wanted to tell my story. Dr. B is my doctor. I got sober with him. I went to see him February 7th. I had a really bad addiction to Fent. I also used Oxy. So to go back a little, I started using meth at the age of 11, from 11 to 18. From the age of 18 to 25, I got clean off meth. I worked. I did still drink and smoke weed. By the age of 25, I was turned to Oxy. And then last year, I had surgery and I ran out of pain medication. So a friend said that they had some Oxy for me, and it turned out to be Fent. So I developed a really bad addiction to Fent. January, I realized that my life had just turned upside down. I have 3 kids at home, and I was not doing too well. And I happened to be scrolling through TikTok, and I found this amazing doctor, and Nicole. And February 7th, I drove up to Santa Ana to see him, and my whole life changed from there. And I've been sober, and I've been doing so good. And I just want to tell anybody out there, if you guys need help, you guys can do it. I come from abuse, from neglect. I was abused as a child. My childhood was awful. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom was not there for me emotionally. So just, if you guys are looking to get help, you guys can get help. If I did it, you guys can do it too.
You look so amazing, because I haven't seen you in several weeks, and I know Alexis and Nicole working really closely with you once you were on this conveyor belt. But you have no idea, the whole office is always excited about you every time we get a new person on, and we often take off this way. But you know, your story, and you were so, when you came in that day, you were so fun. Everyone loved you, and they're like, it's awesome. Could she hang out here? I think we had dinner together on your first office visit, right? Did we get some
What
food
was that?
on your first office
Yes,
visit?
you bought me dinner. I was on an empty stomach on nothing but Fent that morning.
You were so
And
fun. I
I
didn't want to let. Yeah, and you ruined my day because I'm so busy. But I'm like, forget it, because I have ADD, and she's funner than doing my work. So and guys, I didn't know she. In fact, I didn't even recognize her when she popped on. This was not. Yeah, so we are so proud of you, and it's so courageous of you to come in here and share with the whole world your whole story. And Parham always has amazing feedback. Parham, I'll let you. Thank you for your gracious, thoughtful words about us. And you, it's all you, and you are a rock star. But I'll let Parham take over.
Yeah, Dan, I'll keep it short, because obviously I don't know you, but when you shared your history of substance use and the progression of it, I knew before you got into the whole childhood trauma and coming from abuse and alcoholism and neglect and all that kind of stuff like that, without even you saying it, that's where my mind went, you know? So first and foremost, I thought to myself, like, what a resilient, strong, brave human being that's been able to endure that journey and to be here right now in front of us. And then when you started talking about the receiving the help that you've always been looking for to get off the fentanyl and all that kind of stuff like that, and just the end of that process, and that the relief, that cathartic relief that you just had in here, just like that smile of like, I just got the help I wanted, like your face just started glowing all of a sudden, you know. And it's that's why I do this, you know, not just in this moment. This is why my whole life is dedicated to this field, is because I've seen people like you come through the program and come through this, you know, walk through the door, and they sit in front of us, and it's like, oh my God, this person's journey has been so damn difficult. And how can I play my part to help them heal a little bit, feel a little bit better, move forward a little bit better, be there for the ones they love, you know, the kids and the ones that they love and stuff like that. And that's what gets me going. So thank you for sharing that. I guarantee you there's going to be someone else like you watching this video right now that they're going to say, man, if that girl can do it, shit, maybe I could do it too, you know. And therefore your story becomes not just a story, it becomes a transformational piece.
Absolutely. Don't forget that, you know, by doing what you just did, you have no idea whose life you may have touched in a positive way. We get messages like this all the time. So you're actually already giving back. And number two, Parham, she even recently went through a procedure as well, minor procedure. She was very nervous about it with the pain and stuff, and she came out of it just beautifully and kicked ass there too. So every one of these, I want you to put it in your memory bank as victories that add up. Get rid of the anxiety, keep growing. And you know, we're here for you. We got the whole team. Alexis is your primary caretaker now. She's a rock star. You have Nicole, you got the girls in the front, and we're here, and I'm here watching you all the way through. And you're gonna kick ass, and we're very excited. In fact, come see us soon, because you've been doing a lot of telehealth lately. We miss you.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Parham.
Yeah, you too, Diana.
Bye. Talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye. You know, the courage it takes to come on here, Parham, and share. It's not only there's so much anxiety, you're sharing so much of yourself, but it also shows something else when they do that. When she just did that, and others have done it, how giving this community is, right? Because they know the impact it can have on someone's life. And what a generous, loving, outreach, kind of well-intentioned type of community this is. And this is what I've always thought of the substance abuse clients in general. And it's just cool, man.
You know what it is? I think it's, I've thought about that too, of why people that are recovering, whatever that recovery looks like, are so willing to come on there and connect. It's because that common sense of pain, man. I mean, even from you losing your father to addiction when you were a child, there's a deep rooted pain in that, you know, and anyone that's gone through the addiction process themselves, there's a pain in that. It's hard to articulate. So when you share your story and someone else hears similarities in their story with that story, there's like an instant bond that happens. And it's like, it's almost just a lot of hope, you know, it's lightness in that dark. So that's why people do it, because it's impacted them somewhere. I promise you, there's been someone in Diana's world, not Diana, obviously, that's shared something, said something that's hit her in a way that she's turning that gift over to other people, you know, just pay it forward type stuff.
Absolutely. And Diana has been through a lot of shit. I know her whole story, and just these people, man, just remarkable, just absolutely mind-boggling. I think that's why we like this. And again, so much of it I can relate to. Let's see. What's OC?
I'm assuming Oxycontin, but where are we talking? Which one?
Oh, I was just looking. Sorry, I don't know all the lingo.
I mean, it might not be. You know, I'm assuming.
All right, well, we'll take it. We'll go down. Oh, look, I just got to Diana's thing. That's how behind we are, Diana. Sorry if you were waiting.
Where is that one?
Oh, it's at 308. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're really behind there.
Yeah,
We're coming quick.
Sorry, I'm moving. If you see it, tell me. I'm down at 310 with Diana. She's saying it won't let her come on.
There's a lot of stuff. I know you've probably talked about this, but there's a lot of stuff about ibogaine going on. I don't know anything about it, just in full disclosure. But someone's saying that Cold Dirty saying that it helps with a lot of different types of addictions. I mean, I don't know where that information is coming from, but I know you know more about that. So I don't know if this is a talk for it, or you have some talks you've done on it, or
very briefly. And you know, I'm trying to avoid some of these, not because I want to avoid it or not answer the question. It's just I don't want to get into it, and I don't want to pick on anybody when they put things on there or anything. But you know, I want to read this sentence: cures all addictions, and cures cocaine addiction too. And let me take it off because Cold Dirty, I don't want like make any kind of example. You know, I don't. You know, it's that kind of that's a claim, right? From a linguistic perspective, from a philosophical position, from That's a claim. And now it's a universal claim if we're going to get very technical but general about it. And it simply isn't true in that way, nor do we have any evidence for that being true. Cures all addiction is a big thing to put forward. And again, I don't want cold, dirty bastard. I'm not trying to pick on you or anything, because this kind of stuff comes across all the time. And I'm real sensitive to it because of that. So that's not the case with this drug. Now, the only thing I will say on here about that stuff is it deserves an evaluation for its therapeutic potential. I choose my words very cautiously and wisely. It deserves an evaluation, a rigorous, formal evaluation for its therapeutic potential. And I don't even say for what. Heroin addiction, alcoholism, pain, psychosis. I won't even add that to it. So my only thing here is for everyone out there, even if, let's say, this individual had 5 hardcore addictions, they were on the verge of death from it. They had let's just pick a person. If they had alcohol, if they had benzos, if they had opiates, if they had methamphetamines, and let's just throw something else in there. They had a kratom addiction. In addition, they were suffering from severe anxiety, depression, and let's just say they're bipolar. And they went and one day and did this treatment down in Mexico or wherever they went, and they came back, and for the rest of their life, and let's say for 20 years, they never had another problem with any of those things again. They're not even close to being able to make that statement that was made. It's still considered anecdotal evidence. And so part of the thing I try and do with everyone here is education, because otherwise now we're being sucked into the hype of what makes our current Western society and why we get into problems we get into. And that's all I'll say about it. And I don't mean to pick on anybody that made that comment. Everyone makes these comments all the time. That's all I have to say.
It just sounds like, the cold dirty bastard just sounds like someone that's been passionate about this, just been doing his own research or her research, just learning about it, seeing some examples that have worked for people, some this and that. So it's kind of where Dr. B coming from, just so you guys all know, it's like, this is a pure researcher. This is a individual that's dedicated his life to academia. And until ibogaine and stuff like that, or ayahuascas of the world, unless they're studied and researched with control groups and long-term, outcomes measured over the course of like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, time spans, that kind of stuff like that. All this information just comes as kind of a hobby to learn about, but it's nothing that he can give medical advice or suggestions or recommendations on it. So that's where it's coming from. So actually, Cold Dirty Bastard, thank you for, bringing up issues like that. Nothing wrong with it. And I'm glad Doctor gave the answer that he gave, because that's the whole point of this stuff. And one day, if there ever was research done on it, I'm pretty sure Dr. B is going to be the first one to give you his professional opinion.
And I'm a big fan of looking into this stuff, by the way. I find it very, very potentially good stuff. Here's one maybe you can help us out on, Parham. I don't know what Sandra is referring to, but maybe you...
Yeah, well, I believe in. Exercise definitely helps a lot for just for replenishing the dopamine levels. But also, I'm a big advocate. I've EMDR for PTSD is very, very. It's used in therapeutic modalities, and the human beings that I've worked with, we actually have it. We have an EMDR specialist at the place that I work at, that she does wonderful work with people that are experiencing PTSD. So I personally am not licensed to do it. I'm not licensed as a practitioner. I don't know enough about to comment on it, but I do know that if you do have trauma, it's worth looking up your based on your resources, your local surroundings, to see if there are any trauma focused therapists that specialize in it, and just get some education, learn a consultation, find out, you know, how it may or may not help for your specific case. I'm not against it at all, Doc.
What have you seen? Have you any thoughts on it? I don't want to force you to give me a thought if you don't have a thought on it. I've heard good things about it. Don't have much personal experience with it myself. I'm wondering if you have anything more.
I've seen success with decreasing the amount of kind of relation to a specific traumatic event with like the emotion regulation, improvements with emotion regulation, so they're not triggered as easily. Different perception towards an event, you know, the perspective change that's happened. However, it needs to be done after stabilization has occurred. So like not right when you get clean and sober, you know, so a lot of people dive in a little bit too soon to EMDR. This is something that needs to happen over 8, 10, 12 weeks of meetings, sometimes even up to twice a week with an EMDR trained specialist. So I have seen people work through their trauma, and to the point that prior to EMDR, they were unable to recall, to communicate, to talk about a specific event. And through the process, you know, 8, 10, 12 weeks later, they're able to talk about it, share about it with a level of kind of control over their emotions. So that alone right there is very valuable to me, at least observing.
Cool. I've looked into it before. I'm going to look in again and see. Again, it's I don't obviously do it. And I don't know how much experience I've had with seeing people on it, but I think I'm going to do a little look into it. And maybe you can look a little more from mental health, and at some point come on and give me some feedback on your perspective on it, because so many people talk about it. Okay. Again, Parham, we have this thing. People post all kinds of questions, and we really want to get them to start popping up here, even if they don't show their face. And we don't bite, guys. If you guys come on here, I really think you'll get a lot more out of it than what would you call this, texting?
Kind of. It's live chatting, I guess, if you will.
Live chatting. You know, like there's a great question here from Just Mandy, right? What do you recommend for detoxing off methadone, Dr. B? And again, if you were on there, Mandy, although I'm not going to answer individual medical question, and neither is Parham, having a little more info on that. These things are very complex, and that this is why having a little bit more info. That question could mean a million things. You could be on it for pain at 40 milligrams a day, or you could be someone on 140 milligrams a day for 6 months or 6 years or 16 years. And these are all different questions. So even if I was going to give a general feedback, it's hard, guys. Come on. We're not afraid of the questions, and we'll tell you the ones we don't feel comfortable answering, or we don't know, or we professionally don't want to answer. If you come on, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of us, guys. Parham, don't you agree?
100%. I want people to come on because we're very interactive, and we'll do a good, a question and answer with you, and individualize your question and get all the information we need. So please feel free to come on. There's one at 319. I just want to make a recommendation of a previous video that we had. So 319, Caleb Speaks, if you could find that question.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see anything, get it up.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I want to highlight this one. It's Caleb Speaks at 319. He said, how come there is so much attention paid to opioid addiction and almost none to benzo addiction and dependence? So Caleb, thank you for that question. About a month ago, I might be wrong whether it was 4 weeks or 5 weeks ago, Dr. B and I did this entire 2-hour stream on anxiety and addiction. And the entire thing turned into benzo addiction and dependence and, all the questions in between. So my suggestion to you would be to please go watch that video. I think you will find it very valuable to your specific question. And there's a lot of answers there. And if you didn't find what you want in there, come back next week, pop on here with us and ask us specific questions.
And in fact, Caleb, not only did we do that for a long time, and we both would have loved to go on forever on that, just today I saw 2 or 3 of my historical patients that benzo tapers are a favorite of mine in some ways because they're a lot of work, and I do them quite differently than a lot of the doctors out there. And if you want more information on how I do it, I think I have a small series on this channel, YouTube channel. If you go, it's in there. And that seems to be actually one of the more popular ones. And then, like Parham said, when we dissected this and hashed it out 2 weeks ago, or was it, Parham, 3 weeks ago?
That, man. I think it might have been like one of our first ones.
Okay, it's on there. So we take it all very seriously, and we'll go anywhere you want, Caleb. So again, get on here and talk to us, man. That goes for everyone. What's this, Parham? Do you know it? I actually don't know what this is. Have you heard of it?
Low energy neurotherapy for rehab. I don't know if it's nootropics. I don't know if it's actually I don't know. No, I don't. Sorry, Kim. We need you to come on and talk about it.
Yeah, let me do a quick thing to see if it's a different name. Low energy
neurotherapy.
See, we don't bite, and if there's something we run into we don't know, we just tell you.
And the cool thing about this is, I know Doc is doing a little search right now. I'll tell you this, that if you guys are using something or doing something and you don't know about it, and maybe you can actually come educate us on certain things that are out there. So please, this is a two-way street, if you will. We'll always listen to what's out there, what's working for people, because why not get that information, that knowledge for us. So thank you for the question. It seems like it's spiking a little bit of interest in Dr. B there. Sorry we couldn't give you a better answer. And like Dr. B said, I'm okay with not knowing all the answers too.
I'll check it out. I just have one, and I'll come back to it. Is this the same stuff they use for autism? That's been used for autism? Just tell me that, Kim, and I will. Then I do know what it is, and if it's been around. So that's what I have to say on that.
Oh, it might be neurofeedback, biofeedback stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If that's what it is.
Yeah, lens neurofeedback system. What was the question?
It was low intensity neurofeedback. So does neurofeedback, is it effective? I've personally seen it effective for depression. They say it's for addiction too. I haven't seen success with it. The only reason is because I haven't seen a person use it long enough to see if the success was there. So
yeah. I don't think there's any large-scale clinical randomized placebo-controlled effect size data out there on this stuff. And that's about all I can say on it. And I think at some point they were using it on autism. So that's what I have to say on that. I hope that helps. Hey guys, I just want to put this up for Diana. She is pretty badass. I love her. Please follow my story at Diana in recovery on TikTok. So guys, go follow it. She's pretty cool. Okay. Look at the one on Renee 324. And I'll read the next one. I'm not sure if there's. Tell me if you see something.
yeah, I'm looking. Nothing popped out yet.
Just Mindy, just come on because we're almost out of time here as well, and we'll take one more question. And I'm scrolling down to at least be able to have gone through everybody.
I did. The Caleb Speaks did write something back too. He said, thank you. I will definitely check out that video you guys are talking about. I am benzo dependent, been prescribed Klonopin for over a decade, scared what will happen if ever taken off. So we actually did talk about that in that talk. So I specifically remember Klonopin came up in that.
And in fact, we had a couple of people come on, didn't we?
Yeah, it was actually 3 or 4 or 5 people actually came on. It was a popular one.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of great comments and kind of questions, and Sherry even added more stuff. I think you guys will next time, but you guys got to get on here. We want to give you some feedback. Very lively today.
Yeah, very active.
Very active, and TikTok's pretty active too. I don't know why these guys look. Someone, I gotta just give a thought on this. That says, what are your thoughts on Lyrica for getting off opiates? I just want to announce to everybody, this Lyrica thing keeps popping up, and I'm gonna make it on Lyrica and gabapentin. I've made it for you. Look, Lyrica is related to gabapentin. I always used to think of it as a cleaner drug. Right now, in many places in Europe, this stuff is a hardcore substance of abuse, okay? And the diversion is out of this world. And now it's popping up in the same way in the US, and there's some names for it, street names. I don't know it. So again, for this community, be cautious, not only of gabapentin. Lyrica seems to have taken over. I had to comment on that. It popped up on the TikTok. I wish that would come on. And at some point here this year, an opiate video will come out.
Can you click on one real quick? 340, just because I know this person.
Yeah, of course. You just
340. His name is Jesse. We're not going to talk about his question because I'm going to guide him to a few of your videos, but I do want to click on him for a second.
I'm getting there. Sorry, I'm slow.
It's okay. The 340, his name is Jesse. There you go. So Jesse said, curious if you guys have any opinions on kratom. I don't really drink or do any other drugs, but enjoy drinking it, using it at night when I'm winding down, working, playing video games. So the reason I wanted to bring this one up is I know Jesse really well. He's a really, really, really good guy. Done some wonderful things post-recovery world in Europe and Romania, and learning a lot about psychology and astrology. This is a really cool guy. So Jesse, my suggestion to you is Dr. B is very knowledgeable on this topic. Go to his YouTube page, and there's some videos there that he made on kratom. Start from there. And then if you have specific stuff, Jesse, I don't know what the time zone is in Romania right now, but come back next week, talk to us. Your story is going to help a lot of people out. I know it for a fact because I know you really well. I was your counselor for a while. So come back. Love and appreciate you, man. Good to see you.
Jesse, come on. That sounds really interesting. Do look at those videos, and I'll make one comment when it says, I don't really drink. I don't really do any, and then when it says, but I enjoy drinking it, I'm assuming kratom, at night when I'm winding down and playing video games, working. It almost scares me because that time seems to be your space of recovering and rejuvenating from the day, and you're putting this stuff on top of it. I'll just say that, Jesse.
That's a great point, by the way, doctor. That's because there is a time that we naturally need to rest and recover from a day. So winding down means my day was really tiring. Then I need to have the runway to wind down. Now, if we get the runway and shorten it, and make it a little bit more comfortable than needed, if you will, it could have some long-term challenges.
Yeah, and this stuff starts to become a part of that winding down. It almost scares me. I've heard.
Great point. And I do, by the way, have to leave in a few minutes here. The 2 hour commitment is kind of challenging for me. So
so I think I'm all the way down. Caleb made one. Oh, Renee. Okay, guys. Oh wow, we got Kim. Okay, Kim is the last one today.
Okay, that's fine.
And then
if you want to get Jesse's question off the board too, that'll help.
Oh, sorry.
And he'll come in next week too. He said, I like that. Good.
Okay. We got Kim Pacheco. Hi, Kim.
Hey guys.
What's up, Kim?
I had written in on the question about the low energy neurofeedback.
Oh, cool.
So this is something that I wasn't even aware of until I decided to get clean, and my family actually had found a therapist that this was the rehab. So I started using it. I've been in it doing my neurofeedback since the day that I got clean. So that was October 16th of 2020. So I go a couple of times a week, and this helped me. I didn't have any withdrawals or any of that. So long story short, basically what it is, it's just small like brainwave feedback. They're faint electrical signals, which they measured. They're placed in discrete locations on your scalp, of course, your frontal cortex, things that have that you lost, or things that were 100% suppressed during your active addiction. So they do an assessment at first. It's just basically of your brain waves. So the equipment itself is just attached to different parts of your scalp. And then they send extremely faint battery generated signals that your brain responds to. Now, I've had really positive results with this, because then every time I go in, you can then get a map, if you will, about how your brain signals and your receptors are reacting and coming back. I guess the best way I can describe it is it's a reset of the things, your receptors, and the things that have totally suppressed during your active addiction.
How's it working for you?
Fantastic. I obviously, the theory, of course, behind it is you make bad choices when you don't use, when you can't make wise choices. So this kind of is bringing back a lot of those brain waves that help you to make those right choices, deal with your emotions, and things like that. So I think it's a little bit of an alternative to talk therapy. You don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it until you can think about a process, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This definitely is something that that has helped me, and I've seen tremendous increases in my brainwave activity. Things that were completely suppressed that are starting, to come up, and they help those rebound, those good feelings. Now, of course, I can always tell when she works on, my emotional part of my brain, because it starts things that you have suppressed, you start to think about, and you really do have to sit in them, and you do have to think about them. But it's not being medically, or if you can, by any medicine, being suppressed. Those things are just being rewired, and my brain is starting to work again and making good choices and thinking.
It's pretty cool to hear. I'll be honest with you, and like Parham said, Kim, I don't know much about what I just remembered where I came into contact with this is it was becoming very popular for autism. And
yes.
At that time, yeah, and at that time I looked at the literature for autism for someone very near and dear to me that was spending a lot of money on this, and there was nothing to support its efficacy for autism. Now, addiction might be different. And those of you that have had positive experiences, come and tell us what I'm happy it's working for you. Keep it up if it's working for you, because it's not a harmful thing, except I don't know what the financials is with you, but I don't have any data on it, or and I don't know if Parham, what your thought, but I'm glad it's working for you. That's awesome.
My final thing was just going to say, first of all, thank you it seems like you have a lot of insight and awareness into the treatment you're receiving, which is huge. By the way, I really like how you understand the process, because that's your level of understanding helped me understand, which says a lot. Second of all, I'm always a big believer that if something's working for you, if you're benefiting from something, if you've been able to since October, congratulations, you're coming up on 7 months here, actually. If you've been able to manage an addiction you've been struggling with your whole life, and this was one of the methods or avenues that's helping you get there, then continue using it, and I do hope that maybe one day you can come back and give some more even longer term, benefits from it, effects of it. And even though, as Doctor calls it, it's anecdotal, it's just a story of one human being, it's a real story of one human being, and I always put some value and weight to that experience.
Yeah, it absolutely has value. And so in fact, we built our this decision to do formal research on these anecdotal data. And in fact, I want you to keep coming back and letting us know how it's going. And if others have had experience, same thing, because we like to get educated from you guys as well and look at things that we haven't seen before. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Great. Well, I thank you. I thank you so much. It's just something that you don't hear enough about, and the oxidative damage it does to your brain. And for me, that it worked. if it could just help one more person, I would love to share that too. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you. Bye, Kim.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, guys.
All right.
I am for our YouTube guys. Thank you so much. This is cool, man, and I'm excited about this. We just got to get you guys on here. We're gonna kick some butt on this. The topics are getting better. Even your comments are becoming more specific. We're getting used to this, but we want to get you on. We want to get as many people on as possible. It'll be awesome. And it's a lot of fun. Parham,
that was wonderful. I mean, today was great. I mean, I hope if you, a lot of you are popping up saying hi right now, please go back and watch this, because I think you're going to benefit from the entire experience of today if you haven't seen it. And also share this with people. You know, it's you could tell how committed we are. So if you're enjoying this, if you're liking this, maybe share the link for the upcoming week or the previous weeks with people, and keep coming back, because there's a lot of value to it. And I do got to go, but I love and appreciate all of you. Dr. B, thank you for your time. Thank you for educating myself and everyone else. I look forward to being back next week, Sunday, 1:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Thank you, Parham. And for YouTube guys out there, I see still asking, there's got to be a way. I keep trying to announce it, guys. Parham, if I'm holding you back.
Yeah, I got to get out of here. I love you guys. Bye-bye.
All right, Parham. TikTok guys, I always announce on this. I'm going to run this live just to get as much people seeing what's going on as possible. If you want to ask questions, it's super easy. Go to YouTube. I think it's Dr. B Addiction Recovery, and it's set up there. It's so easy to get on and ask questions, whether you want to show your face or you don't. That's how we're going to do this. We're going to do it every Sunday. It's for you guys, so take advantage of it. Get on there and ask whatever you want. We start off on the topic, and somehow I guess I got to announce it better, because I make a video right before telling you guys that. Throughout this, I continue to do that. So that's it. So next week, same time, same place, we'll have a topic. Guys, thank you for joining. YouTube, same. We love you guys, and give us feedback on how to do this. Oh, don't forget, please subscribe and like. We love your support, and we love your feedback. Okay, guys, take care on YouTube, and let me say bye to